I took maternity leave and I never went back.
And it's a ticket talking Mazda for the figures. That's a comma and a comma and a comma. Gotta get it. And it's a ticket.
Hi, Marissa. Thank you so much for agreeing to join me for this podcast episode. How are you?
I'm great. Thank you for having me.
So, I guess we can start from the beginning. Tell me how your entrepreneurial journey started.
Well, it actually started because, like we were saying pre-show, I took maternity leave and I never went back. So
Yes.
I ended up having my babies 1 year and 9 days apart. So
Wow.
that was not planned. But once we had the second one and we were like, okay, it makes no sense for me to be working. They were always in daycare and it's just the math wasn't math. And so we were like, why don't you just stay home? So I stayed home with the littles. And then by the time my son was like 3, I said, I need something to do. So I went to beauty school. I thought I was going to be a cosmetologist. I finished. I didn't drop out.
Okay.
I finished beauty school. I actually had a job. I was working in a salon. And then I just realized I'm back where I was. They were always in daycare. I was behind the chair all day. And I wasn't even good at it. Like I was horrible at
Really? I
doing
was going
hair.
to say your curls are popping.
I mean, I can do my own hair. I just can't do
But-
everybody else's hair.
All right. So you were like, let me find my lane.
Right. And I ended up finding my lane on accident. My husband was like, he noticed how I was dealing with postpartum depression. I had it very bad for my first child. And then my second one, it started creeping in a little bit. And I was actually 30 pounds underweight after having both
Wow.
babies. Yeah, which is kind of different from most people's story. But body image issues arise either way on each end of that
Right.
pole. So I was dealing with some, low confidence. I was super weak and just not myself. And he's like, I think if you come to the gym, you'll feel better and you'll appreciate it. I was like, okay, sure. So I went to Target, got some cute workout clothes, and I said, I'm gonna go to the gym and get on the elliptical. No. He was like, you come into the weight room. So entrepreneurship kind of happened on an accident because I got so good at being in the gym and I was training some of my friends and my cousins and like family members. And I thought, okay, this is awesome. I want to do this as a thing. And I started doing group fitness, which allowed me some time freedom. So I wasn't like stuck doing something all day. So I was able to take my kids with me and I could do something that I loved. And that's how I got into fitness.
Win-win-win situation. You touched on a lot of questions that I wanted to ask you. First of all, for women who have experienced postpartum depression or haven't, like what are some of the telltale signs? Because I'm sure I got like the baby blues of it, but I wasn't depressed. So what are some of the signs that you know that this is postpartum depression?
Yeah, I feel like baby blues postpartum kind of gets disguised as baby blues sometimes. Baby blues is a thing and like it might last a little bit and you're like, okay, I'm good though. I don't know the whole scientific part of it all, but once you realize that person they're kind of a shell of a person. They're not themselves at all. They're having a hard time adjusting to being a parent or a mom. For me, it was
Yeah, that's
literally
what I meant. Like, not the scientific definition, just for you. How did you know? Like, okay,
how did I know?
Yeah, how did you know?
I remember sitting in my nursery with my baby and literally crying tears on my baby. And my husband came home from work while this was happening. And he's like, what is wrong with you? And I was like, I don't know. I had no idea what was wrong. He called his mom and his mom was like, she has postpartum depression, which I feel like a lot of times it doesn't get talked about, especially in the Black community. My mom she never even knew what it was.
What insight she had to even
think
of that, to be aware.
Thank goodness my mother-in-law knew what was going on because she was able to coach him, my husband, through how to help me with it. And it helps me also do more research because now I had something to call it. And then I found out later that it was postpartum depression and postpartum anxiety.
Wow.
Because I was like freaking out over all the tiny little things like, oh, don't let her pacify or touch the floor, or you got to wash your hands before you touch my baby. Like it was a lot of anxieties towards being a mom.
Wow, I wasn't even aware of that. Postpartum anxiety.
Anxiety, yeah.
Right.
But then my research led me to realize it's not so much mental illness, it's a hormonal imbalance, is what it really is. So our
Right.
hormones are like, we've been carrying this baby for 40 weeks or maybe less, and your hormones are already doing some weird stuff. Then you go and have this baby, and then it's like, whoa, okay, what are we doing now? And then your estrogen, progesterone, testosterone, all the things are just going all over the
Everything's out of
place. And,
whack.
right. And your body's like, I don't know what to do with this. So a lot of it's just being balanced with your hormones. And that's actually how I just realized, like, okay, when he said, let's go to the gym, I was like, he's actually right. So I started doing more research on the nutrition and all of that. But my way of knowing was that I just wasn't myself. And it wasn't just like a day or two or like a week after the baby was born. It was for months later.
Right. Wow. Sometimes, like, you feel something, but when you have a name for it, or a definition, or a title, or diagnosis, then you're like, wow, I'm not crazy. Like, I'm going through something. And so I'm sure a lot of women will benefit from that. A lot of new mothers.
Yes.
So
Just
thank you for
hearing it and
sharing.
knowing like they can attach to it. Absolutely, for sure.
And that it's reversible. Like, it's not something that you were able to heal your postpartum depression with exercise. And we know about the healing, therapeutic benefits of exercise and physical activity. Wow, and that's
Right.
beautiful that your husband like had the idea to like get you in the gym, and it just became a business.
Oh no, he
Wow.
wasn't nice in the
Ah,
gym now.
I'm going too far. He was
Like,
serious.
it was nice that he pointed it out. But my husband's a Marine.
Oh,
He's a
okay.
veteran. He's a Marine Corps veteran. And the day that we got into the gym, he did not allow me on the treadmill or the elliptical. He's like, you're coming in the weight room. And he had me doing the stuff that he does. And I was like, this is not what girls
Wow.
do. And literally crying at the end of the workout. I was on the floor and he's looking down at me like, everybody else is doing this workout. Everybody else is doing work. They're doing what they need to do. You're over here crying. So I was like, okay. And that did encourage me though to keep coming back. So I do like the tough love was needed in that moment. Otherwise, I would have just stayed at home with my kids instead of coming and getting that time in the weight room and learning how to use my body. And it just made me so much more confident later. And like you said, it turned into a career because I found my lane.
Wow, that's beautiful. And you touched on something that I always tell the women, when you should work on building muscle. It has like a lot of metabolic benefits to it, and health benefits, and we lose muscle mass as we age. And
Mm-hmm.
so many women have this misconception that if they lift weights, they're just going to turn to Arnold Schwarzenegger. And I'm like, we have estrogen. I wish it was easy for us to gain muscle. You know how hard I have to work to just see a little bicep pop?
Exactly. Exactly.
So tell us about
Listen,
that.
that was the thing I got a lot, especially with my family when I was trying to convince them to come into the gym. I don't want to look like manly or whatever. I'm like, do I look manly? Like, I lift
Exactly.
weights. You always compliment my arms. This is what I do. Let's go. So I think having the example, and I feel like nowadays it's not as cliche because I think more women are
Yeah,
becoming
that
aware
is
and they're in
true.
the weight room. So it's not as hard to convince women, but I've done work with prenatal and postpartum,
Oh,
and that's
amazing.
still my niche. But I've started doing more with menopausal women, so perimenopausal, postmenopausal, and I've learned, like you were saying, we need the metabolic enhancement of using weight training because we do lose our muscle mass as we age, but we also can still gain muscle, so it's not too
Right.
late. And the more
Exactly.
the stronger we get, the less we have those interferences with these diseases like diabetes, heart disease, osteoporosis. Like, we can reverse and
Yes.
anti-age our bodies by lifting weights. It's incredible how beneficial lifting weights is.
It is, and for women especially, it's not just just you mentioned so many things like preventing osteoporosis. You need that pressure, that resistance against your bones to make them stronger. And you mentioned diabetes. I work a lot with like the diabetic community, and we see how impactful just doing weight training twice a week can be
Mm-hmm.
for managing their diabetes. So yes, I'm so glad you touched on that.
I do mostly training in small groups. There's some science behind that too. We won't get all up in there, but we'll just keep it surface. It helps them come back they want to continue because they have camaraderie built within this group. And they're like, okay, my girls are going to be there every Tuesday and Thursday. I need to show up. Or such and such did 25 pounds on her lunges. I'm going to do 35 pounds. Like it makes them want
Yes.
to
There's
do better
power
and
in a
be
group.
better. Absolutely. So
Yes.
that group of ladies are all menopausal, perimenopausal, and postmenopausal. So they are able to experience, or they're going through the same things, and they're able to share what they're going through with each other. And those that are ahead of us that are already postmenopausal, they're like, okay, remember this is going to happen. And then, and I'm able to go research it, and I can say, okay, well, actually, we can do this to not let that happen. So it's kind of like we're all learning together. And I love that about working with this group of people.
Wow, that's beautiful. Oh, so what would you would say that's the most fulfilling part of your job, or what are some of the most fulfilling parts of your fitness
Yes.
career?
The thing that makes me click is when someone comes back to me and they say, I actually like working out now. Like I
Wow.
like it. That makes my heartstrings pull. I'm like, okay, I've done my job. I can go ahead and let this person go be great. And my goal is, I tell my groups all the time, I'm like, I love having you here and I want you to be here, and my bank account likes that you're here. But at the end of the day, I want you to be with me for a small period of time, and then you're able to say, Marissa, I got this. Let me go be free and do it on my own.
Wow.
So, and they say, well, I can never leave. I'm like, okay, but I just want you to know that's my goal. I'm not trying to be one of those trainers that wants to hold you forever and not let you learn how to do it on your own. I empower them to know how to create their own workouts, how to eat the way they want to eat. Like, it's not in my scope of practice to give them nutrition advice or prescribe anything, but we do work with a local nutritionist who gives them some, blueprints, and they're able to kind of just go do it on their own.
Right.
So that's my favorite part, is when they say, I actually like this and
Yes, I
it's
can imagine. Like,
doable.
I can really, and I like that you're not just, honest and transparent, and because you could easily start, continue to take money, but I really resonate with that. Like, if somebody doesn't need my help anymore, or I've taken them as far as I can take them, I'm like, save, save your money, save my time, and, make room for the
Exactly.
next person.
Yes, let me help the next person.
Right. So has everything always been like smooth sailing, or have you experienced any challenges or bumps in the road along the way?
Yes, definitely some challenges. During the height of the pandemic, or right before the
Ah,
pandemic, actually, I used to do this group class called Strong by Zumba, and I was on track to go into being a master trainer, and I kept getting told no. So I was like, do I really belong here? So a little backstory.
mm-hmm.
I did not ever step foot into a gym until my babies were born. Like, I had
Which
never
is
ever worked out in my
incredible to
life.
me. That's
Like,
the
never.
inspiring part, like that you would think you've been doing this your whole life, but to know that you started this at, an adult age after having babies.
Right. And and it's a testament to say it's never too late. Like, I mean, I know I was a young adult. I was 25, but
But still,
still,
right.
I never played sports. I had never done anything active like that. And when I had the nose from Zumba, I was like, oh, maybe I'm not supposed to be doing this. Because, I started looking back at my history, and then a lot of the other master trainers that were in their positions and in their roles, they were already athletes pretty much. They were either mixed martial artists, or they had been in the industry for a long time. And I started doubting myself.
Mm.
Then the pandemic happened,
Oh, wow.
which was like, okay, gyms are closed, which made me have another kind of setback on keeping up, building up on my own confidence within my abilities. Cause I end up eventually like putting that Zumba format down. I was like, okay, I've gone as far as I can go with this. I'm gonna go off and do Marissa's thing. So when I decided to do that, then the world shut down. I
Oh,
was
what
like,
timing.
I said, okay,
Wow. So
well,
how did you deal with that?
I actually listened to the universe, and I said, okay, let me put this down. My husband and I had just moved back to South Carolina from California. and he had bought a business. He bought into a franchise called Wine and Design, where we paint and sip. You know, you come to the paint parties, you bring your
Yeah,
wine, and they teach you how to paint. So we bought that business from the previous owner that he used to work with her as an artist. He's an artist. That's all the paint back there.
wow.
That's
We
his.
need to. I
That's
need to
his.
interview your husband too. We'll talk
Yeah,
about
you
that.
should. You
Yeah.
should. So we bought this business, and while he was doing great, I just saw little holes where he needed somebody to help him on the things that were like not his strong suits. I'm a very detailed person. I can zip up every little thing. I dot all the I's and cross all the T's. He's not. He fly by the seat of his pants, and he do
The
everything
creative,
messy.
the artist, right?
So I was like, okay, this might be a perfect time to put the fitness down for a while anyway. So I did. I sat it down, and I went in as his basically his manager, and I was doing a lot of stuff for the wine and design company. And one day he said, okay, I got it now. I had created so many good systems that it literally just, it was automated. All he had to do was go in and touch it every now and again. He said, I got this now. It's time for you to go be great.
Wow, that's
It,
beautiful.
he practically fired me. Like, he's like, okay,
That's the most
I'm gonna say
romantic
this real
fire.
sweet. Right. So he let me be free, and I had started modeling at that around that time too, and that was an accident.
Oh yeah, so tell us about that, how you got into fitness modeling.
Yeah, so one of the guys here is a photographer and a videographer, and he found me on Instagram, and he sent me a message asking me if I wanted to do a shoot for a company, and I was like, "Who's this random guy in my inbox
Right? You're
asking me
like,
to meet him somewhere to do a photo
you're
shoot?"
like, I'm married.
No, right? So I looked him up, and I realized he was legit, like he was the real deal. And from there, it just kind of snowballed. Like he and his business partner were actually starting out their company together, their production team together at the same time. And they just started getting all these clients with these different, either it was athletic wear or it could be equipment, whatever. And they would call me a lot. So it just kept building and building. And then
Wow.
finally I said, let me just go ahead and get an agent, because
Yeah, like let me make this official. I'm a model now.
official. Yes, I'm officially a model and an actress.
Oh, and an
I put
actress.
it in air quotes.
Well, what have you acted in?
I've done some commercials, nothing
Oh,
like
cool.
no TV or movies or anything, but
But
I've had
still.
some speaking lines. You know, I played Mother Nature for a commercial.
Oh yes, I saw that. Yeah, I saw that on Instagram. Yeah. So yeah,
Oh
you need
yeah,
to add that to your credentials.
right. Like I'm an actress.
Actress.
So yeah, I got an agent, and then from there, you know, people ask me all the time, how do I get started? Reach out to your local agency, apply on their website. All you do is submit cell phone pictures, and they will call you if they have a need for you. Because it's just like a with an agency, they have a certain look, and they're like, okay, I got these groups, and they'll put everybody in the groups. And if that group is full, they won't bring any more in. But if you have a look they're
If
looking
they,
for, they'll bring you on.
wow, and
Yeah.
so you said like you can just have photos from your cell phone. It doesn't have to be like any professional headshots. All right,
Nope.
so you guys here, if you have
Yep.
the right look,
Get
well,
you a
first you have to
blank
start off with.
background. Yeah, blank background with a black neutral clothes on, and just show your headshot, your a quarter length, full body profile, and then boom, send it in, and they'll call you if they need you.
Right. And sometimes I know they don't always have to have like amazing genetics like yours. Sometimes they just want like regular looking women.
Well, that's what my agent told me when I came in for my interview. She was like, listen, we don't need supermodels, okay? We need people that look regular. And I was like, you calling me regular?
You're not exactly regular, but okay.
I'm just kidding. But that's what the agencies want. They're not looking for supermodels. For real. They want people that look like people. And they're going to put you in these lifestyle commercials or on these images to portray what people really look like.
Right, regular
So,
people. All right, that's
yeah.
cool. That's good information. Thanks
My
for
whole
sharing
family is
that.
listed. Everybody.
Oh, you put everybody on. Cool.
Yes, ma'am. I'm like, no, we all doing this. You want a paycheck? Let's go.
Right?
Get your pictures in.
Right. If somebody asks you to borrow some money, sign them up to the agency. Here, that's for your money.
There your money. Yep. Go get you a little job.
Right? So I want to shift a little bit. We talked about your entrepreneurial journey, and now let's shift a bit into like, relationships and parenting. So you already told me like how your husband was like super supportive when you wanted to go into
Mhm.
this. Even when you took a hiatus, he fired you and made you go back, inspired you to go back. So
Yeah.
tell me, how are you able to maintain a strong relationship while he's running a business, you're running a business, you have two children?
We've been a tight knit, the 4 pack. We've been tight knit for a while. So I mentioned we lived in California for a while. It was just the four of us. Like we
Your
had no family
family.
out there. Yeah, it was just us. So we got extremely close, and we've we've raised our kids to understand they can talk to us about anything. So if our jobs are like getting in the way of family, they will speak up. But to that point, Timothy and I have always felt like making systems and working smarter is just what Team Cunningham does. We've always worked smart. So if anything is going to take up so much time where we can't have our family time and stay connected, then we're like, okay, what can we do to make this better, or do we need to ditch it? So like I was telling you with the wine and design, the systems that I created has made that so seamless. And he just keeps improving on those systems and making it easier and easier. We are now own 2 locations since that
Wow,
first one. Yeah.
congratulations.
So we own 2 locations. And I think just having the systems, being very open about how we feel, we communicate a lot. Like a lot. You have to say what you feel. They don't, we as women sometimes think everybody knows what we thinking.
Yeah, that's true. My husband told me that today. That he can't read my mind. Literally today.
Right. Right. Timothy has to remind me of that often too. He's like, babe, I don't know what you're thinking. You got to just tell me. But,
Right.
we have so many thoughts running through our head. We think about a lot of things. A lot of times we
Right.
can't just lay our head down on the pillow and go to sleep. Whereas, your husband probably just, he lays down, he sleep, right?
Right.
Meanwhile, you over there thinking about all the things that you didn't do today and what you need
Yes.
to do tomorrow.
Like I think
So,
things are obvious, but that's something I need to hear.
right.
I need to get better at communicating.
Because you said you think it's so obvious, right? But they don't
Right.
think that. They're not thinking. And besides that, we've thought it through our heads probably 17 times where they don't even know what we're even thinking one time.
Right.
So
Yeah, that's true.
just being open and saying how we feel about things. The kids are the same way. If they don't like something, they'll come and tell us. So having the systems, communicating very well, and just, being kind to in
Yes.
all parts, to our customers, to the people in our city. Like we're big about being in our community, and my husband is very into the arts part. Like he gives back to artists. He teaches them how to make their own canvases, how to make their own
Oh,
frames. Like
beautiful.
he's got a whole foundation for it and everything. So we just try to be kind and treat people better than we want to be treated.
That's it right there. Not just treat people like you want to be treated, treat people better than you want to be treated. I like that.
Yeah.
And I like how you talked about creating systems, because a lot of times people think about systems for like business or projects, but you have to do that with marriage and relationships as well. Because if you don't, like, if you just wait for everything to be spontaneous and just happen, it won't always happen. Like, you have to, that's something that we're realizing too. I get, like, how long have you been married?
We've been married, it'll be 17 years in
17 year
September.
old. So you already deep in it. We're only together, well, I'm saying only 7 years, but still, like, we have a 1 year old, almost 2 year old.
Oh, yeah.
So I feel like our marriage changed. We were married, and then married with a kid is a whole different type of married.
Oh my gosh, it is.
Yeah.
Because that third person be tripping sometimes.
Right.
The baby is like, what? And it does change you both. I feel like it changes both parties. Like my best friend and I were talking about it, and she said she noticed it with her husband, how different he was after they had kids. And it's just something that kind of like it's a switch or something. I don't know, but
Right. It
it is
sounds so
different.
cliche, and I've heard it, but I didn't understand it until I
Till
became a
you were in it.
parent. Right. Until we
Yeah.
both changed. Yeah. I know I have, I can see he has, but yeah, that's just life, and it's not necessarily in a negative way, but you change, and It's fulfilling. And you can talk about that. What is the most fulfilling part about being a mom?
Ooh, I don't know. Because it changes
Yeah.
as they change. I have teenagers now. Oh my gosh, I cannot believe
Wow.
I'm
I can't
saying
even
this.
imagine that.
I have one that is ready to drive. She'll be 15 in April. And then my youngest will be 14 in April. They're 1 year, remember, 1 year, 9 days
Yeah,
apart. Yeah. So they're right behind each other. And she's already saying, like, day 3 of high school, she says in the car on the way home, she's like, so when can I get my permit? And we were like, what? She was like,
permit.
well, yeah, she's like, well, I need to know when I can get my permit because then I can get my license 6 months later and then I can start
You
working a
like,
job. I was like, oh,
whoa, this
oh,
is a lot. Slow down. Slow down. You need to be potty trained first.
right.
Right.
Like I can't take this, but it's exciting too. I was talking about this in yoga class the other day. You want to see them excel and go and be the person that you groom them to be, but it's so hard to like let go because they're just your babies. Like
Yeah,
it seemed like yesterday
I
I
can't,
was
I don't even
holding
want to
Blue.
imagine that yet.
Right. I'm like, how did this happen? I feel like I just was potty training you or just singing ABCs the other day, and now you're
Yeah.
talking to me about things that a young adult talks about. And it blows my mind sometimes. It almost feels unreal at times when I'm talking to my kids. But I do have to say, I'm most proud that I've raised children that are they emit what we asked them to. Like they are kind. They are the kindest people. And my daughter is very much like my husband. She's very blunt. She doesn't sugarcoat anything, but everything she says comes from a place of kindness. It's just gonna be real,
Wow.
real.
Yeah, I
You
love
don't
that.
come to her, you don't ask her advice if you want to hear what you want to hear. You ask her when you want to hear the truth.
You need those people in your life.
Right.
Yeah.
You need them people. But they're both extremely kind. They are their own individual. I love that about themselves. Watching them change over these last, especially 4 years since we've been back home. I'm like, they're just so individual. Like I have a skater. My son is a skater. He likes to skateboard. That's his thing. That's not common
Yeah.
for us,
Right. Yeah.
like
My brother was a skater, but we lived in a different country. So like we
gotcha.
were born in the States, but yeah, so it's a whole different, but yeah, it's not common. And speaking of things that aren't common in our community, you said that you have a very open line of communication, which I can't say that I had that growing growing up, like not super open. Was that
Well,
intentional or that's just that how you grew up?
definitely intentional and partly how I grew up. So I do come from a separate home. My mom and my dad were divorced when I was in middle school, like the first year of middle school, like the worst
Oh,
time ever, right? It's
yes.
like everything's awkward. You don't know if you're a baby or you're trying to grow up. And then my
And then
parents
they put
split.
that on you.
Right.
Oh, wow.
But my mom is like, this lady, she's so awesome. So not once did she ever say anything bad about my dad. Never. One time, not once. My dad, same thing, never said anything bad about my mom. They co-parented pretty well considering the reason they split up. My dad had a drug addiction problem and
Mm.
she's like, okay, I gotta get away from this.
Which
For
was
that reason,
responsible, yeah.
right. And he was able to, he's been out and for a long time now. I mean, I'm 40, so decades he's been
Wow,
clean.
amazing.
But considering that fact, they both co-parented very well. But what I give testament to my mom to is she's the reason why we have these communication skills because she always told my brother and I don't care what it is, you talk to me about it first. And she's like, I'm always have your back, but you got to tell me the truth. That's how she's always been. So we were
Love
always
that.
able to, if we did something she didn't like, she would ask us why first, not just punish us. Oh, we got punished.
Yeah,
Because she said what
but
she said, but she
right.
allowed us to express ourselves. So that being said, my husband also comes from a split family. And he just felt like communication was very important as well because a lot of that could have been avoided. He feels like his family could have been together had they communicated. So I guess, unknowingly, it was kind of like we agreed that that's how we roll. Like it just happened that way. But my mom did
Wow.
instill that in me to be very open about communicating and saying how you feel. And then it made me feel like I can allow my children to tell me, what's going on. Like, I'm not gonna, you're a human being. You're not just my child. I feel like a lot of people kind of talk down on their kids. I give them their voice too. So it comes from my mom. For me, I'm not sure with my husband, maybe his mom was like that too, but we kind of agreed without even saying it. This is how we roll.
Wow, awesome. Yeah, that's something I'm gonna take with me too. I do see that in my sister. She has 3 kids, and I'm just amazed and admire how much like her kids are open with her. Like if they get in trouble, if they have a bad grade or something, I remember we would like hide these things, and they're so open and with everybody, they're so honest, and they're honest and open because they know they're not gonna get like, nothing. Of course, they'll get punished or something if it's something terrible, but they won't get like,
Right.
chastised or something or. So
Yeah,
yeah.
there's no need to chastise them. And a lot of times they won't even need a punishment if they're able to talk to you, because they'll come to you first.
Right. So that's what she
Yeah.
told me. Like they'll come, exactly, they'll come to her first. So that's something that I'm taking into my motherhood journey. Like he's just
Good.
learning how to talk. So we haven't got the most discipline is now is just like, don't touch that, that's hot. But I'm trying to
Right.
keep that in mind as we get there, as he's growing and developing.
Oh, he'll be talking
Wow.
soon and you'll be able to implement.
Right. I might have to call you for some more tips.
Yes.
So, I guess we'll bring this to an end now, but do you have any words of encouragement or tips for other mothers and fathers who are going through this entrepreneurial journey?
Definitely lean into your community. You will be amazed how many people are willing to help you and know what you've been through and who might need your help. You never know. Like, lean in. If there are young professional groups that you can join, definitely be a part of those groups. Just going to the socials. Timothy and I, we've been going to, there's one here, we've been going for 2 years now. So many connections and so many new projects and great things have happened just by being at these social events and talking to people and finding out,
Networking.
okay, yeah, like, you got this thing going on, or I can help you with that. You want to help me with this? And
Oh,
it's like a little web, and it all just keeps getting bigger and bigger. So
oh,
lean in on the
awesome.
community.
Yeah, that's a good one. Thank you. So,
Yes.
Marissa, I would really love you to tell everyone where they can find you and connect with you.
Yes, I hang out on Instagram just a little bit. I might be back. I'm taking a little short hiatus. I'm on Instagram as Marissa B Cunningham. You can also find me on my website. I normally work with ladies local, but we are working on some virtual on-demand options as well. So that'll be coming in the future.
Yay! Awesome. Then I can work out with you finally.
Yes,
All right. Well, thank you so much. And I'd love to have you on a podcast again in the future. Bye, Marissa.
absolutely. Definitely reach out. Thank you for having me.
And it's a ticket talking Mazda for the biggest. That's a comma and a comma and a comma. Gotta get it, get it.
And it's a ticket talking Mazda for the biggest. That's a comma and a